Did you remember how you hurt me so in front of my fellow cubs?
When I was is that when I was a Santa Claus?
Yes, Dad. Yes. Now tell everyone exactly how you embarrassed your son.
I bent down to pick up a gift, and boy, my pants ripped from stem to stern on the back end.
Tell me it's on stage. Now
I was on stage though, in the auditorium.
Why, Dad? The thing that didn't hurt, Dad. That didn't hurt. I mean, the thing that hurt, Dad, is you bend over. That's when they recognized you. I mean, now, why didn't they know that was you dressed up as Santa?
Well, here, I'll tell you what.
And then when your pants ripped, they said, "There's Gary's Dad." No, you tell me, Dad.
Well, you know, I should tell you another little incident. Here at a senior citizen 50-plus group, we had a little contest, you know, to bring a different shirt and tie. You were complimented, you know, something different. Well, I got up and I was picked as having the best butt of the whole organization. And I won a big prize.
Yeah. Coincidence? I don't think so.
I won a big prize because I had the best butt.
What we'd like to do tonight is have all of you share a little experience that you have with Marion and come up and sit down and just tell something that maybe some experience that you shared with Marion in these 70 years. I thought you'd say 70 years. But he said 70. So who would like to come first out of the party crowd? Oh, my lands, Lynn Zablocki. Short introduction,
It's
Lynn.
not going to be real short.
Oh, how many faces do you have there?
But 2 years ago, I asked Uncle Marion for a class of mine if I could do what was called a life review. So my paper is my interviewing Uncle Marion on his life. So I thought that instead of coming up with a funny story, that I would just read this, how Uncle Marion answers some of my questions. It won't be real long.
Get a calendar, we'll
The senior citizen is the interviewer's 68-year-old Uncle Marion. To begin the interview, I asked him to recall memorable events from his childhood to the present. I asked him to share significant events that had significance to him. The first event he remembered was when he was 2 years old. This is his quote. We were living on Kellogg at the time, and my sister Marion was pushing me in a baby buggy on a wooden sidewalk along a gravel ditch. She tipped the buggy over, and I fell out and rolled down into the ditch. My mother came out of the house, picked me up, and put me back in the buggy. While in high school, he played semi-pro football. I gave your dad, meaning my dad, all my football equipment. I also played hockey, and in that season, I broke my nose and had 2 black eyes.
It never healed.
Not funny.
His first job while in high school was for Howard Craven Exhibitor Services. This was his first experience in the motion picture business. He drove a truck for the company. His next job was for Producers Releasing. This was another film production company. I was sales manager and earned big money, $55 a week. I was working at Producers Releasing when a business agent from Paramount Pictures wanted me to come to New York to work, but I had family obligations, so had to turn it down. Uncle Marion attended Wayne State, U of M, and U of D. At 20 years old, he went into the Navy. I was in the Seabees. I was over in the South Pacific for 4 years. I was stationed in Woodland, New Guinea, and Australia, just to name a few. At these stations, I was assigned to do oral research work. He volunteered to go to Alaska and look for oil. At 20 years old, I married at 21 years old. I was still in the service. We married in February. I met your Aunt Stella when we bumped into each other on a bus while we were both attending Wayne State. He was a child during the Depression. He remembers the Depression well. His family was poor. During the Depression, he would tie each end of a rope to an empty 2-gallon milk bottle, put the rope around his neck to carry the bottles to Liberty Dairy, which was located at Cary and Strong Street, for a gallon of milk. His father owned property. They had a big wagon with 2 wheels and everything attached. They would use the wagon to transport the materials to maintain the homes on the property. I remember having to crawl under a home and cut the pipes. I was embarrassed being seen wheeling the wagon with the big ladders and wheels.
Lynn, it's your paper.
When he was 9 or 10 years old, he went into business with his older brother, painting cars in their garage. It was the day when Roosevelt was running for president, when Ed had gone to vote. I went to move a car out of the garage, but backed the car through the garage.
I remember that.
I was so scared that I hid from Ed. We ended up having to repaint the car and repairing the garage.
Door.
As a child, they had 2 Ford cars. One was a sedan and the other was a closed sedan. The cars were only driven on Sunday.
What kind of car was it?
Fords. That's all they were.
Farming.
No, Ed had a big one. This is later. We had 2 big Fords. 2 Fords at first.
His childhood was a happy one. He got along with all his brothers and sisters with the exception of his brother Larry. He would wear Larry's clothes because they were brand new and his were hand-me-downs. This is the reason they would fight.
That's right.
Uncle Marion and Aunt Stella had 3 sons. He almost lost his son Bill from a drowning accident. His son was saved by a family friend. His oldest son, Dan, was crawling on the kitchen floor when Uncle Marion picked up a pan of burning grease, tripped over Dan, and spilled the grease on Dan. It resulted in 3rd-degree burns. Dan has the scars to prove it. His son, Gary, was in the hospital for surgery, ate his roommate's box of chocolate candies the night before surgery, and vomited the candy. The doctor cursed Uncle Marion for his son's actions.
No control.
He worked for the city of Detroit as a registered engineer. He started with the city after he got out of the Navy. He was an associate professor at Wayne State for shop class. His brother Ed and himself bought a machine shop. He worked there for 20 years. He took a 1-year leave of absence from the city to help his brother establish the business. They made a sizable profit. Several other family members plus outside people worked for them. He would get off work from the city at 4 o'clock and go directly to the shop and work until 11 o'clock at night. His family was not pleased with these hours, but they did what they had to do. Eventually the shop was sold. He was an associate engineer for 10 years and a registered engineer for 30 years for the city of Detroit. He started as an inspector and worked his way up. Some of his projects include the Detroit Zoo, Detroit City Airport Terminal, Downtown Trolley, House of Corrections, hospitals, pumping stations, including Conner, Blue Hill, and Oakwood. He was involved in extending the trolley from Cobo Hall to the Renson. He was injured on one project. He encountered hydrogen sulfide gas while making a tunnel across the Rouge River. He was off work for a year, and the injury has left him with periodic back pain. He sadly recalled the event of a big old farmhouse he owned in Petoskey burning down on his burners. They are spending their retirement doing a lot of traveling. They've traveled to all of Europe, Japan, Australia, and Mexico. Both are active in a senior citizen club. He is satisfied with his life and is secure that he has made decisions that have positively affected him. And that's my story.
Good job. Good job. Lynn, you need to be commended on the job you did on that paper.
Thank you.
What grade did you
Even
get
though she
on it?
failed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that says a lot about Marion Zablocki's past and present.
Oh, somebody said I missed that part.
Yeah.
I missed the part about I was attracted to his buns. Did he tell you that
This is a family party, Aunt Rose.
No, they did. They took out the bone and because he has the best looking buns. And he got a package of buns for a prize.
Okay, do we have anyone else that is willing to share an experience? There we go, and here comes...
Marion, do you remember the day you and I were driving down with that old black pickup? We had all them booms sticking
I do.
on the tailgate.
And
The
they fell off.
tailgate fell off, broke off,
Well,
and we had booms all over the one street.
We sure did. We're
About 4-inch pipes, about, what, 20 feet long?
about 20 foot long, and we had to smash them up and make pulleys out of them for the federal government at that time when we were in the shop business.
And we were driving down with Philip, something like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the tailgate just broke right off from the weight. And they went everywhere.
One question, Jerry. What were you doing in a compromising position where the tailgate fell off? I mean, what did you do after that happened? Did you scream, yell, pick up the lead pipes off the street? Or did you say, Uncle Marion, you've got a serious problem?
Well, we had a serious problem. We probably both cussed.
Jerry, at that time, you were too young to cuss.
No.
Did Uncle Marion teach you some new cuss words?
Probably. I just remember picking them damn things up.
Let Uncle Man go get this one now. Uncle Marion doesn't cuss.
No way. And we're here to tell you he doesn't cuss. Good job. Do we have anyone else that would like to share a memorable experience? And here comes Saint Teresa. Saint Teresa.
Marion, do you remember the time when I was about 12 years old when you took me golfing? And I thought, wow, I was so excited because my big brother was going to take me golfing. And to my surprise, I had to retrieve the balls out of the river.
How old were you?
So,
Well,
so Dad wasn't a very good shot, eh?
evidently, I even had to climb the trees to get the ball.
Oh, Dad, you never told us about that. Dan, did he tell us about that?
Okay, who's next?
Okay, we are looking for another volunteer. Here's Annette. She's on it.
Oh, she had to write it out, huh?
Well, did you write something too?
Uncle Marion, I really don't have an experience that I can share with you, but I would like to say that ever since I have been very young, you have given me very good advice and have been a role model and a mentor to me,
Thank you.
and that I love you very much.
Thank you very much, Annette.
Jerry, you next.
Would anyone else like to share anything?
I have one. Hey, well, I got lots of.
Oh, come on. You will never believe
How
that.
I got this is I was the youngest girl at the time, and my brothers had to take me wherever they had to go. So when they played ball, I always needed a pinch hitter or a pinch or a third
girl.
baser, or yeah. So Geisha was the one that was always over there playing the pinch hitter and playing the baseball and playing the football and hitting, and we were the ones that broke Draper's
Windows.
And they had a large picture window,
When we broke that, we ran like
We
that.
all ran away.
How old were you?
Oh, I
Geez, I
know.
was about 7, I think.
Yeah, about 8, 9 probably. Something
Yeah,
like
something like that. And we always broke that window. And we all ran.
Unsolved mysteries. We have the results.
That's how I got my tomboy. And they had to take me wherever they had to go. Otherwise, my mother wouldn't let them go any place without me. So,
Well, Mr. Pincha,
Geisha,
Geisha.
he asked
Geisha was
me,
her
I
name.
know him personally, he asked me to collect for the window. if you
Oh,
just
boy.
give me the
That poor
$300,
Draper.
I'd be more
That
than
poor
happy to
Draper
deliver the
was
money.
broke. That poor
I'd be more than happy to deliver it to him.
That's it.
Thank you, Auntie. Auntie, thank you very much for sharing with us.
Uncle Marion, we were trying to get the order of you guys straight. Would you start at the oldest in your family and come down?
Well, the first was Ed.
Ed's the oldest?
Ed was
Jenny.
Jenny. No, Ed was the oldest. Ed, and then came Veronica, then came Jenny, then came Mary, then came Larry, then came me, then came you, then came Martha, then came Teresa.
Yeah, we had Martha explain that a few minutes ago.
Oh, did you?
So what was the age difference between everybody?
About 2-year differential.
Everybody was
Except Ed. There was a big difference between Ed.
Yeah.
Bob's got something to say.
Come on, Dad.
Okay, and here comes Uncle Bob.
Oh, be careful now. Here comes Grandpa.
Here comes Grandpa Bob.
Yes, sir. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, Bob.
Now we got to talk about that old machine shop you used to have.
Well, you worked there too.
It was an old one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sure was. I remember one night there, man, I was at the last operation and I screwed one up, man. He didn't like that very well either. It was a pretty expensive piece.
What a miser.
But the most comical thing about that shop was, it's about 4:30 in the afternoon when he'd walk in. He's looking around all them machines. He's looking for little dog turds about that long.
Huh? Dog turds?
And I'd already taken them and flushed them down the toilet, you know. Then he had to go in the office and get some of them longer ones, you know. The ones that stunk like hell, you know, when you smoked them.
Cigars. Yeah.
Oh, they were bad.
Yeah.
I used to laugh. Oh, God.
Now, plugs of tobacco that Dad used to love.
And then I think the most comical thing probably about him, one day we was putting an electric fence up at my place. So they couldn't get the damn thing to work, you know, so he said it's bad ground. So he's out there and he's holding that ground rod and he's getting that wire tight. Danny says, you know, I think maybe we got the wrong wires hooked up. And he put the hot ones to them. I tell you what, there was sparks coming out of all ends of him. He said, he still said right now that his son was trying to kill him.
Yeah. Charles Manson, Daniel the Block.
Oh, and I could go on and on and on, but I'll let somebody else come in.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing with us.
Thank you, Bob.
Come on, Auntie. Here comes Aunt Martha McKinney. Yeah, Auntie, you can say whatever your heart desires.
But I was going to say, she said, but I'm going to change her eyes.
And here we have Aunt Martha McKinney.
Remember when you made your first communion?
Yeah. Now, come on, Auntie. They said the mind was, or the memory was the first thing to go. You expect it. They're 70 years old. You expect it to remember. Okay, do you remember?
We played bass after you had to take your suit off.
White suit off, yeah.
You had to take your suit off. And Ma and Dad had a party, all the people in the house. And you and I and you had our neighbors and stuff. We went in the alley and played baseball. And I was a catcher, and the bat hit my
I
nose.
broke your nose.
What? I've never heard this story.
How old were you?
I broke her nose. I hit her right across the nose with the bat.
How old were you?
I don't know.
Well, I was about 9 years old when I made my first communion, so she was about 6 probably at that. 5 or
I
6.
didn't go to school yet.
No, it was 5 or 6 then.
Have you ever forgiven him for breaking your nose?
No, I didn't
Well,
care.
here's your chance. I'll hold him. I'll hold him.
I remember that.
I didn't. I wasn't mad. My parents were mad.
Oh, I bet they were. Yeah.
Another thing.
Medical insurance didn't mean that much to you at 9 years old.
He got blamed for it. He got blamed for it, but it was my fault. Remember, Ed had that big fancy car.
That Marvin, I think Marvin,
And you were
that
supposed
16 cylinder.
And remember, you weren't even old enough to drive, and you asked Ed if you could put it in the garage, and I had opened the door for you. This is St. Cyril now.
Yeah, I know, St. Cyril, that's where the Marvin was.
And I opened the door, and I didn't open enough, and you hit that door when you went up in half. Remember, it cracked in half?
Yeah.
And you and I had to go and kneel on peas.
Yeah.
And I had to go on peas, kneel on peas, because I didn't, the door was big enough. And
Surely it didn't affect Uncle Ed. It didn't bother him at all that you hit that door, did it?
This is another occasion.
Well,
This is another occasion. That's another
but him and
one.
I had to say, Penny, put the door back up.
Oh, that was the other one. That was with Leon Kuski's car.
The Marvin?
No, this was with the Marvin. This was what she's talking about. This was the Marvin.
It was a long,
What year was this?
Oh, I don't know. 16 cylinder was one.
brown,
What year was it in? What year did it
That I
happen?
don't know.
Well, I don't remember
I
now.
don't
It's-
remember.
Well, let's see, if you were
9,
9 years old.
We lived on St. Cyril, that's why.
Yeah, 9, 10 years old in that place.
They used to go by St. Cyril and
Kellogg.
Kellogg.
everything goes by those two
Place,
places.
that's where we live.
And then another thing, when we were playing football, and you went to not grade,
No.
no,
The Billy goes, the Billy go.
so he had to come home and practice.
He played with the
So-
Lions.
That's junior
So
life.
him and I, he bought me all these extra pants things so I wouldn't get hurt.
Huh?
And so him and I was in the alley, and he bought me got a helmet from the school, and practicing playing football in the alley.
On the concrete.
What the heck? That's your sister.
Hey, we used to play.
And another thing, remember we used to play in the alley. We used to have that
Hockey.
the hockey,
Hockey
and-
sticks.
and the hockey and the puck.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
hit me right here.
Aunt Martha, I have to thank you because I have now lost every bit of my guilt. Aunt Martha, I never realized.
I had fun and I enjoyed playing on it.
Yeah, I was a pretty good kid now. Yeah, I was a pretty good kid.
I had fun playing all the games.
Oh, I can imagine you did. I can imagine.
Marion used to bake those potatoes and Harold and Norm used to steal it. They got worse.
Yeah, we used to bake potatoes.
Oh, another thing. Remember, we lived on St. Cyril.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad went out. Yeah, because the basement, so we had a basement. And my dad had a lock in a fruit cellar. And they used to make root beer. And they
Real beer or root beer?
Root beer. Root, we made both. Root
Both.
beer, whiskey,
Well,
and
anyway.
everything.
Oh, well, it's nice.
They went out visiting. So all my brothers and sisters, see, I was a favorite, at that time I was a favorite to my mom and my dad.
Okay. Well, we understand why.
Okay. And so anyway, they knew where the key was, how to get in there. But they wouldn't go open it. They'd tell me, you get the key. Oh, Mom, Dad's not going to bother you. So I go get 3
Reel
bottles.
her in.
So I really got the beer, the bottles were like this. So I took 3 bottles out. So each one we had, 3 bottles. We had split the bottles with 3 between, I don't know how many. Well, I don't know how many we were.
Yeah, big family, big family.
Well, whoever in the house, we had to split. Well, I took 3 bottles. We had to split the bottles together. So 2 days later, my mom and dad goes down the basement. Who was down the fruit shop? Not me. So what happened? Oh, I didn't blame them.
You took the heat for
I
that?
took the heat and they put peas in the dining room. They had beans. And I had knee on those beans, and they put a stool, and I
We had to hold a stool in the
on
air.
my head.
And they didn't make him sit on that stool?
Hey, you better not. Hard enough to hold that stool up here. There's my knee on peace. Kneeling on peace.
That's why we have to kneel on peace and we have to kneel on broken glass.
The blockies have been
Yeah, that was fun, though.
That was fun, that's right.
That was fun.
That was
Well,
super.
okay, you don't listen to me no more. I am not talking.
Auntie, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Auntie. And hockey.
And I played tennis. Regina helped me play.
It sounds to me like you owe my dad a couple punches in the arm or something.
She showed me how to play the games, right? Too bad everybody thought I was a tomboy because I was doing everything they were telling me to do.
It sounds like all the Zablocki women ended up being accused of being tomboys, but as we can see, you didn't turn out to be tomboys, did you?
We had fun. We all got along. And then Regina, she was good teaching us playing tennis, and we all turned out to be good tennis players. Thanks to Regina.
Oh, that's great. Dr. Dobja. Dr. Vichy. Dr. Maya.
Something. There's 3 stories that I want to talk about.
Yeah, there you go. We're ready.
Well, one of them is first on behalf of my mother, Virginia Zablocki. When Elaine, my sister, was born, my mother needed a transfusion. So Uncle Marion, you know, gallantly volunteered his blood. So my mother wants to know to you, does she owe you $100 or her life? She has to figure that out.
Knowing Marion, being his third child, he'll take the cash.
Absolutely. A real businessman, entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur.
The second story, my brother and I, when we'd go to parties to your houses, we'd place bets on how many times Uncle Marion would call him Larry and me Phil.
Well, don't feel bad. I'm still Danny.
Danny? Oh, no, I thought you were Phil.
No, I'm Danny.
And another story was, well, you know, Dodger had the house on Kellogg, and I had asked Stanley and Jackie if I could have that center name piece off. And then there was a great debate between Uncle Bob and Uncle Marion. Uncle Bob said I could take a stepladder on a pickup truck and just take it off, you know, just easily get that down. Uncle Marion says, no way. You're going to have to get at least some scaffolding and do it that way or take it from the back side. So one day I decided to stop by Kellogg Place just to check things out. And what had happened, somebody was stealing brick. And I went there, I just pulled up, I'm looking, I said, oh, somebody busted the name stone. And there it was, waist high. I picked it up, because when they stole the brick, they chipped it off carefully, not to lose the brick. So I picked up I got the name stone at the house. I picked it up in my trunk and got it right there.
Good job.
Lastly, Unc, I want to say I'm proud to be your godson, and I love you very much.
I do too. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Larry. That was very nice. And we do have some more volunteers. I can see them all putting their hands up. Let me choose one next. There we go. Thank you so much, Kathy Zablocki. Here she is.
Two stories. Good. I want to hear them.
The first story is Uncle Marion. I think Jerry and I were just newly married, and my sister and I went shopping over to Eastland.
Oh, yeah.
And we were in kind of a tight parking spot. And my sister was driving, because I'm a much better driver than her.
Oh!
And she proceeded to back up, and Helen, and she hit the gas a little bit too hard when she should have hit the brake. And the bumper of the car ended up on this board running along a big high fence that separated Eastland from Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's what I was.
And we got out of the car and we went, oh, shit. What are we going to do?
Surely it wasn't that
It
strong.
was Helen that said it. So I walked to the nearest phone up in Eastland, and I called Jerry. And as you know, Jerry was either always sleeping or working. So he couldn't come and rescue us. So the next person I thought of was Uncle Marion. And he was home. And he said, I'll be there as soon as I can. And he was. And he tried to lift our car off of this piece of board, but the car's kind of heavy, and we didn't want Uncle Marion to hurt his back.
Oh, thanks for the back.
Uncle Marion's looking around, and all of a sudden these two young boys are crossing the parking lot, and Uncle Marion goes, hey, you guys, hey, over here! So he enlisted their help, and the three of them lifted our car off, and we drove away.
That's right.
Kathy, I have to ask this question. I don't mean to impose, but Dad, what were you doing home at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a weekday?
Saturday,
Oh, Saturday. Oh, okay.
And my other story is we used to go to St. Matthew's Parish dinner dances once a year, and it was always a table of 8 or 10, and we like to fill our table up with people who like to have a good time. Uncle Marion likes to have a good time, but he's kind of quiet and shy around new people. Well, he had a real good time that night, but I didn't realize what a good time you had, Uncle Marion, until I went to church the next morning, and all of them were planning another party so Kathy's Uncle Marion could come, because it was so much fun.
That's why we went to St. Veronica.
I understand.
And we have some more volunteers. I can see them coming. Ruth, do you have any stories you'd like to share with us? Could you please? Now, this could be embarrassing. Very embarrassing.
Well, as you know, Marion decided that we had to have the garage aluminum sided.
This could be real embarrassing.
So, yes, yes. So, what was his name?
Dorsky.
Dorsky, and he come over, and
Jim
Marion
Dorsky.
says, I'll let them practice in the garage because they wanted to start their business. So, okay, he bought all the aluminum for him and everything. Unfortunately, he invited everybody over, and it would work about 2 hours, and then he'd serve drinks.
Well, I had to learn how to coax these people.
So this went on for a few days, you know, and Marion says, there's something wrong there. It's not moving too fast. So finally he says, I think I got to do a different system. So we had an old chest down in the basement, and he went out and bought there was 5 drawers, and he bought 5 locks, and he put a lock on each one, put the liquor in there, locked it all up.
She never heard of Houdini.
He couldn't get any more liquor, but they turned that chest upside down, and they moved it all around and everything, but he never found out how to get in there.
True story. True story. Dad, is the garage done yet on Carlisle?
I hope so.
I don't know. I haven't checked.
No, your dad finished it up.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Dad, for your help.
And you never did that job. You never did go into business in that, did you?
No, no. Aluminum siding was out of the question.
Another time, we bought a brand new car, and Gary and he had Buddy had a boat.
Mike Boat.
Oh, yeah, Mike Grove.
Mike Grove.
And while we were away, they put the boat in the garage, and our brand new car sat out in the all winter long in the driveway while his boat was in the garage the whole winter.
They call that true love for child.
That's not what I called it.
Priorities.
That's not what I called it.
Yeah. Ruth called it abandonment.
That was my term. Well, we covered No, I would truthfully say he's been a very good husband. Very, very good husband. I've been very happy with it.
Hey, Ruth, you've been the best stepmother. And I speak for, I believe, Danny and Billy. I think you've been the absolute best stepmother anybody could ever have. And here comes Sherry Slosher.
How's that, better?
Well, I go out to eat a lot with Uncle Marion and Aunt Ruth. And I remember him making me eat raw oysters.
Raw oysters?
Slime used to go down. He's like, sure, you really like them. Eat some more, eat some more. Here I am. I didn't want to be impolite. You know, here I am eating raw oysters, you know. And another time is, I remember always going over your guys' house in Carlisle, playing with it. Remember that I was always secretary, the big desk.
Yeah.
Swinging around a chair all the time. You always swinging me around the chair.
No, it wasn't me. It was Danny. Get it straight.
And having that robot, always playing with that little robot. That was so much fun. I always know it's enjoyable going over your house. It was always a lot of fun.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And I love you very much.
Thank you, Sherry.
Okay, Daddy. Go ahead. Let's show you.
Okay. And here comes Billy Zablocki.
All right, now, Bill.
Here, Bill.
Yeah,
I'm
it's all
sorry,
set,
Dan.
Kathy.
Dan?
Okay, Bill can't be here, so he asked me to relate a story that he remembers most about Dad.
Yeah?
And that's when we first bought the farm up north, and we were going up there for the first time. And so it was a long trip. It was about 6 hours later, we get up there, and he got directions from somebody, and they said, well, you get to this old house and you turn. And so we're going up and down the road asking everybody, where's this old house? You know? We're looking for an old house. Did anybody see an old house out here? We stopped 5 or 6 people. And it took us 10 miles from the farm.
Was that out of gas?
We were almost out of gas. It's like almost midnight. And we couldn't find this place. That was our first experience going up north, and that's what Bill remembers.
Now, tell him what this old house is.
Now, this old house was a restaurant, and we were looking for an old house. And we were looking for a shack, but it was a restaurant.
Just poor old city folks.
Yeah, the old trick they play on the city folks going up there.
No, No, somebody gave us directions. That
Firecrackers or something like that one time.
well, that was the place. Conway Road was right there.
Oh, okay, I can tell that.
And for you that remember Stella Zablocki, it wasn't an easy trip for Marion. After he missed this old house, it was not a pretty sight.
One of my other memories was Christmas time, another Christmas story. Now, my dad is known somewhat for being kind of cheap, you know? Just a little bit.
Dan, does that pass down in the genes?
I don't know. How about you? Well, the story I remember about him, this was Christmas time, and Christmas trees, you know, every year go up in price. So this year, he's going to save our Christmas tree. So he got to a lot, and he got a cut Christmas tree, and he put it in the water in the stand, and we had it up for about 2 weeks, and he's putting aspirin in the water, and he says, well, I'm going to save this tree. So he planted the tree in the backyard. And I said, Dad, you can't plant a cut tree. You got to have a bulb or roots around it. Just plant a cut tree. He said, nope, this is going to work. I know it's going to work. And, you know, it's like February, and it's all brown in the yard, not a beetle on it. And I said, Dad, that's not going to work. No, it's going to work. Wait till summer comes. It's going to work.
I think
Spring comes, you know, it's all dried and ready to fall apart. Took till July. He admitted that tree is not going to grow, but he was sure that tree would grow.
I think he blamed it on the frost.
Yeah. It's a bad winter that year.
Aim for perseverance.
That's right. The other thing I remember is we were all my brothers and myself were in a mood of playing practical jokes.
No, that wasn't practical. It was not practical.
So we used to buy these cigarette loads. My dad used to smoke a pipe all the time. And so we'd put these little tiny cigarette loads in his pipe tobacco, and so every so often he'd load up his pipe and light it up, and bang! he would get gun shy of lighting it. So one day, I decided, well, we're going to play a trick on him when he gets in his car. So I took his car and I put this bomb in its tail that would explode and whiz. It lasted for about 5 minutes. And then I put a smoke bomb attached to the ignition wires under the car so it'd smoke. So we get in the car. I get in the passenger seat. My dad gets in the driver's seat.
All three of us kids, we're going to wars to go buy something.
We're going to buy something. So he turns that ignition, and boom, whiz, smoke coming up all over. And he held his, I should still remember his face. He's holding that ignition key, and his mouth dropped, and his mouth is wide open, and he's just sitting there. And then all of a sudden he goes, my car, you ruined my car. And he runs out to the front of him. If you ruined my car, I'm going to kill you guys. I'm going to kill you guys. For 10 minutes, we couldn't calm him down. And we're laughing and rolling out the car, and he's jumping up and down, going to kill us. You did it. You ruined my car.
Two very important facts that Danny missed out of this story is, number one, there was a kid walking across the street that had a milk bottle in his hand. He was buying milk. And when my dad hit the key, he dropped the milk and broke a milk bottle across the street because this thing went out flawed. And the other fact that Danny missed was that I had nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it.
This was our brand new 1957 Plymouth, wasn't it?
What year was that Plymouth?
I don't remember.
Was it
57?
Yeah, it was. I was trying to
The
think
big
of that
fins
year.
on it, yeah.
Jump time, too, I'll tell you.
No, anything that happened to that car after that was the fault of
The car jumped time after that.
Brown.
Light brown.
59 Plymouth.
Okay. All right, who's next?
Danny, was that the start of you, Jacqueline?
He's about to tell us.
Well, Danny brought up being cheap.
Oh, wait a minute. We're talking cheap.
It brought up a story that I thought about with us and Uncle Ed riding up north in the red pickup truck. Uncle Marion bought new tires for the truck.
Recap.
Here we are. We got brand new tires for the truck because the old ones were so bald. It took a while to replace. And he wanted to. So we're all confident. We're riding. And boom, boom. We got 2 flat tires all at one time. We're in the middle of halfway up north. And Uncle Ed's looking at him, swearing and cussing. And so we're in the back. Uncle Marion wouldn't let us go anywhere, so he felt dumb, so he walked to the gas station, which is about 40 miles. And, well, should I tell the rest of the story?
Tell me. You know how Dad is.
Every other time he'd take us, he'd never want to stop to go to the restroom.
Danny Jr.
So we'd be pounding on the window for him to stop, and he would never stop. So we always had to take a leak out the back. Or in a boot. Or the boot. Yeah, we had to fill our boots up.
True story. True story.
And he always had it. Every weekend we went up north to build the house, so it was packed. The back of the truck was just packed, and we got in first on the old car seat. We'd be jammed in. Our legs would be crossed. We'd have one position. You couldn't move. And we'd be pounding because you couldn't move to take a leak anywhere. They would never stop.
And then all the kids grew around, they used to cram in on top of all that junk bombs.
Yeah, you put the junk in on top of us.
The end of this story is that because they couldn't get out of the back of the pickup truck, there was a boot in that back of the truck. And now, whose boot was it? Wasn't mine. It wasn't Dave's. Now, who was driving that truck?
How much extra did he have to pay for those tires in Gaylord?
Yeah.
What he had to buy.
From that day forward, Dad had to use Decimex.
And he never bought recap tires again. But all in all, you're still the best person I know.
Thank you, Dave.
I'm proud to be your nephew.
Thank you.
Your light's blinking. So we're not quite out of film yet, but Jackie Barlog is on her way. She's kicking down trees and stumps, and Jackie Barlog is going to watch it knock down somebody. Here she is. She's on it. Hi, Jackie.
Rodney. Hi, Uncle Marion. Before, I might as well kiss you now because you're not going to kiss me later.
Uh-oh. This could be a serious problem.
Remember when I was growing up and going to school?
Yeah.
And I needed all this help with arithmetic? I mean, that was the only way I got through school was for Uncle Marion. If I had a problem, it was Uncle Marion that came to the rescue. He was the one that brought me the slide rule and everything else. Granted, he was good in math. But did I end up in math? Does that say a lot for my mentor over here?
Yeah. I gotta choose a new career.
That's right. But also, remember talking about being a mentor. Getting me to get good grades.
Yeah.
Do you remember how you got me to get all A's?
Oh, I don't remember that.
I'll guarantee it wasn't through bribery.
Yes, it was.
It was?
He offered me a $5 bill. And I got all A's.
Manush offered money?
Believe me, it took me 6 years to get all A's. And when I got all A's, you should have seen his face.
My father, Manush always said, if I got all A's, he'd stop whipping me.
Happy birthday, Uncle Marion.
Thank you.
Now we have Mary Meyer Zablocki to share a little story with us. Please, Mary, we have the film is running. Please.
I don't have any stories.
Well, about the Noblesville, the haircut.
Oh. A few Thanksgivings ago, Ruth, Marion, Kathy, Danny, did Billy and Debbie come too?
I don't think they were there for that.
I was at our old house, and I made an appointment for Ruth at a hairdresser down there, and she went to the hairdresser, and Marion, he likes to walk, and so I said, okay, let's go for a walk. So we did our little jaunt around downtown Noblesville, around the square, and we talked and had a good meeting together.
We sure did.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Good exercise, I
Good
said.
exercise.
I wanted my exercise.
Now look who it worked for.
And they always say that our place is the best place.
The best, yes. Their home and their cafeteria there is the best.
Matter of fact,
What?
Mary and I were talking about this on the way home this weekend. I was really upset because this is a surprise party for my father. I couldn't tell him I was coming in town. I had to stay at my mother-in-law, who I love dearly, but when I stay at Dad's house, I get a free meal in a restaurant. I couldn't get taken out for a free meal this weekend. Dad, does that mean next time I come home I get 2 meals?
You get 2 meals. We'll make up what you lost this time.
It's for the little Maui Wopa.
Maui Wopa.
Maui Wopa.
Thank you, Mary.
Sorry, I took your place.
Good family, best family in the world.
Thank you, Sam.
But I have to refresh Dave's story on the pickup.
Were you in that pickup?
No, this time I heard about it. This time, Uncle Bob and Uncle Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, we're in the back of the pickup, and the boys are driving the pickup up north. And they had a case of beer back there with one booth. This time, the thing turned around the other way.
So he had to go pee.
Yeah, that's nice. Knock, knock, knock. Am I right?
Daddy was driving, too.
See how your sons are.
That's revenge.
And the old Plymouth.
Oh, no, it was a pickup truck.
Yeah.
A Chevrolet, I think it was.
But the old Plymouth, getting back to the old car.
Oh, yeah, that old
Okay, I come in the family of 67. I'm hearing a little of this stuff as we go along. But the old Plymouth,
Yeah.
Talking about cheapo.
What's this?
Uncle Marion always told me that's the best car in the world. Always been so rotted out, all you had to do was and slide your feet on the road.
Yeah.
Oh, the best car.
He wasn't lying. He wasn't lying.
Well, Bob drove it to the junkyard finally.
And you have to use emergency brake, too.
That's right.
Not only that, you could peel the Copenhagen off the back window from the inside.
That's right. Hey, look, happy birthday,
Thank you,
Marion.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
For Dover.
Thank you.
I have a little story I can tell.
Okay.
I remember one time when I must have been about 14 or 15 or so, Uncle had me over at his house for a dinner. I don't know what there was. I don't know if your wife was in the hospital or what. But anyway, you had taken me over, and the 3 boys were in the dining room, and Uncle says, "Oh, look who's over for a dinner." And the boy says, "Well, what's for dinner?" And Uncle says, "Oyster stew." All right. Everybody got up and walked away. I think oyster stew was a favorite of Uncle Marion, and that kind of always stuck with me.
Father's forte was not cooking.
It was just a one-pot meal, and that was our dinner for the day.
I think my brother Bill learned cooking from my father. There are a select number of people in this room that had my brother Bill's sweet and sour pork. And I think they're electing to the fact that they came out with home pork. My brother Bill was a darling person. Poisoned our family. So, the oyster stew Dad made that night was better than Bill cooking.
Well, we ate anyway, and we all survived.
We lived. We still live it.
Right.
Still live it.
I want to say happy birthday and many, many more.
Thank you, Adred.
Oh, David, that's not nice.
Well, I really don't know. There's not a whole lot I can remember that was... Well, I'll try. The thing that really kind of sticks out the most in my mind was it wasn't long after we got married and we bought the house we live in now, and I think it was a Christmas party or whatever. I don't really remember. But everybody was over, and I was showing everybody the house and stuff and everything, and I was showing Uncle Marion the house, taking him to the house and everything, and I says, well, Uncle Marion, you know, it's not much, but, you know, it's you know, get some work to do on it, whatever. And Uncle Marion says, yeah, Larry, you sure do.
I mean, they got to just pump it up. You got a good deal, Larry.
Yeah, you know, it hit home, you know. And
yeah, good choice.
And I've heard a lot of good advice from Uncle Marion over the years. can't say that I've taken it all to heart. Not much of it at all, you know.
Yeah.
But
your house still has a basement.
And one thing that sticks out in my mind too was one time I went fishing. I caught some salmon, and I had some salmon eggs, and he wanted them.
What did he
Now,
do with them?
I asked him this question, and I said, "How do you cook them?"
Huh?
And I think his remark was, "You don't cook them. You just put them on crackers, eat them like that." If I'm not mistaken, is that right?
That's right. That's right.
I said,
Now wait a minute. You're
That's
not
the
kidding.
truth.
You
Honest to
mean
God.
he ate those raw eggs?
Swear to God.
Did
least
you
he
take
said
them
he
out of
did.
the shell? There ain't no shell.
But even though he likes raw fish eggs, we can overlook some things, you know. There's no problem.
But there's other
I
things
just
we
like
just
to say,
can't overlook.
I'd just like to say, I'm glad to know you over the years, and I'll leave you with this. And that is like when you're saying something is good, you always say, good, 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 good.
That has to be a classic. We need to coin that phrase. Good, 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 good. Yeah. Good, 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 good. Very good, Larry. Yeah, Larry? Good, 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 good. Now we have Jill Witt to share some memorable moments with us.
Well, the only thing I remember is when, I think I know how it happened that we never stopped for the rest area, because I remember going up with Uncle Marion and Aunt Stella, and that red pickup stopping at every rest area along the way. And I think it was by the time we got to Flint, we asked him, please stop. It's too crowded back here for us to keep climbing out and get back in.
The way I recall it was the reason we stopped at every rest area so us kids could get a beating. We just took a beating every time we did anything wrong.
No, I think what it was, I think your mom wanted everybody to stretch their legs.
Oh, well, good, Ariel. A very good scenario.
How about that pop you used to drink? Or was that real cheapy pop?
Fago.
How close?
So, well, it was something, and we always used to fight over the flavors.
Yeah. But, as we recall, because of Marion, we had some memorable moments in the back of that pickup truck that your dad unloaded on our dad. That pickup with 411 positive traction. Marion, you got to own this truck. That truck drove through more fences, more fields. We had a ride, didn't we?
We sure did.
The principal of Notre Dame High School will never forget
I can imagine.
that pickup truck.
I want to say this is one of the best godfathers in the world, and happy birthday.
Here, here.
One of these,
Janice Zablocki.
one of the Zablocki traits seems to be having a wide part.
Wait a minute.
Wide part.
I resent that. I don't regret it. I resent it.
You resemble it.
You resemble it. Thank you.
And if you've seen my husband, you know he's got the wide part. It's quite characteristic. But he didn't always have that part. In fact, he had a lot of nice thick hair, one of those Elvis type things, the way he used to wear it. But I just wanted to thank Marion for making something possible. Now, we're going to be married 29 years come this September, and the wedding almost didn't come off. If it hadn't been for Marion to come to the rescue. Seems like the night before the wedding, my husband insisted that he get a haircut, or he wasn't going to go through with it. And the only one that would do it was Uncle Marion.
Now
He did such a great job with this that you probably know my husband became a professional barber, because he says if that's what it takes, and that's how it comes out. And you should see this haircut. I mean, it's supposed to be down here. It's like up to here. That's some close shots. But he made the wedding possible.
Professional barber? I don't think so.
Uncle Marion, happy birthday.
Thank you, Phil.
I really don't have any stories to say or tell. Well, just on behalf of my father, who was your brother, my dad, Larry Zablocki. My dad thought highly of you. He said a lot of good things about you. Never heard a bad word about his brother, Marion. So happy birthday from my dad and I, and my name is Phil, not Larry.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you almost confused it on the way up. But
Yeah.
he corrected himself.
Hey, Larry.
He corrected himself.
Every time, hey, Larry. Happy birthday, Uncle. Thank you.
Many more.
Thank you.
Here's Jarrett. I'm sorry, Heather.
Well, I've never blown up your car or peed in your boots, but
Never did. What?
but
Father like daughter.
I've been around for 14 years, and you've taken me places, you and Grandma, and you've taught me things, and you made these 14 years of my life the best a person could possibly have. Thank you, and I love you.
I like it.
Give Grandma a kiss there. Zablocki. My dad always said Zablotsky.
Uncle Marion,
Ask him.
I've never had any major experiences with you as, like Heather said, blowing up your car or anything. But I will have to say that each time I see you, you always ask me what are you doing in school, and that if you really try hard, you can do anything you want in your life. And you showed me an example as you're an engineer of Detroit and everything else. And I really appreciate that. And it actually has helped me a lot in school. I like to do a good grade. So when I come to family functions and you ask me how good I'm doing, I need to tell you I'm doing great. And I really appreciate you. Thank you very much. Happy birthday.
Thanks, Dave. Good job. Like me, and it's just not showing me a report card. Or have a big brother like Bill and have Bill sign Marion's name. Thank you, Bill, and he's not here to appreciate this. And I'll tell you what, Bill saved me many times.
Jared has another story to tell. He just remembered.
Okay, Mr. Slosher's got another story to tell us. Yeah, it is. It's flashing yet, so we still have...
Back again. Being nobody else wants to talk, I guess we can all talk. Just have to think about an engagement party we had at the old farmhouse.
Oh, boy.
I don't know what that girl's name was he was getting engaged to, but I guess he's been married to her for about 17 years now.
18. Well, we missed one.
And it was quite a party.
It sure was.
I'm sure her brother ended up there, and I don't know, I don't think that poor guy was much of a drinker before he came up there, but we sure taught him a lesson. Party lasted all night. In fact, there was one couple running around out there in the field and said if they could find the road, he could find his way home. Another one down, his wife drove down through the orchard. That old guy come up out of the back of that station wagon. He thought he was going to hell. Joe
Julie.
That was quite a way. We ended up singing there, Dear Old Shepherd, quite for the morning.
I really met the family when
The time Stella told the priest to come over, that big party.
Oh yeah, here's another story about. We all went to church one day, pretty well hung over. We had a big party up there in the farm the night before. House was full, just full of empty beer bottles. There wasn't no full ones left, no full whiskey bottles, no nothing. We just completely drank everything up. And we're walking out of church. Poor Stella, she says, Father, why don't you come on over for breakfast someday? Father says, yeah, I got a baptism and I'll be right over. There's nothing to eat in the house. There's nothing.
Nothing to drink.
Nothing to drink. I don't even know what happened to my car. I didn't have a car. So I had to borrow somebody else's car with the keys in it there in front of the church. I just went to the store and got some bacon and eggs and stuff. Time we got back to the house, Father beat us. He was already there waiting for breakfast.
And he was looking at the empty beer can.
Everyone cleaned up.
I said, Stella, don't ever invite that priest over for breakfast someday, because he'd beat you home every time. Good old Father Flavius. I guess he's still around, but I haven't seen him lately, but I never heard of him leaving yet. So.
we won't invite him for breakfast.
Not in this generation.
I guess that's about the last of the stories.
Oh, wait, Jared has one.
I'd just like to say happy birthday, Grandpa, and thanks for taking me and my sister to the dentist whenever our parents weren't home, so we can now have clean teeth.
Can't hear you heard any of that.
Okay. We have to repeat that for the elderly in the crowd.
Happy birthday, and thanks for taking us to the dentist whenever our parents weren't home and giving us great dinners. So now we have great smiles and full stomachs.
Wait a minute, time out. Does that mean that you like oyster stew?
It was tacos.
And Grandma's great tacos.
Yes, Grandma's tacos. Ask Grandma if she's ever made beef rouladen for you yet. I'm still waiting for it. Thank you very much for dinner tonight. The spaghetti and the salad.
Real good.
And ham and everything was very, very good. You outdid yourself. You really did outdo yourself. Danny? He didn't do nothing. It was all Kathy's work.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming today and telling such great stories. My story is kind of a joint story because Dad and Ruth always do things as a team. But the first time, Dan invited me to dinner, and we sat around the dining room table, and Ruth always sets a nice formal place setting, and I sit down to look at two beady eyes.
Was that in Carlisle?
Yes.
Oh, no.
My family's a meat and potatoes type of family, and they were serving lobsters, whole lobsters. And I had never seen one before. And this whole thing is just staring at me, whiskers and all.
Does the word throw up mean anything?
So needless to say, it was an excellent dinner, and we managed to get through it. And it's one of my favorite foods now, thanks to Dad and Ruth.
Kathy's the blocky. Kathy's the blocky. Two different Kathys.
Just a great person, Kathy. Ruth and Marion were at our house, and they had announced their engagement, and they were going to get married. And Stevie was being christening, and that's when we met Ruth. And Lynn, being a normal, curious child, went up and when were you going to have a baby? When were you going to have a baby? And what did you answer her? I remember.
What was the answer? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Back up. That can't be the answer. Too old. Look it. She's been doing very well. Oh, thanks a lot. Jackie Marlon cuts Z-Bob down.
That's nothing. When we were going to get married, Gary went around telling everybody was going to have a new baby brother or sister.
Yeah, and you know what? They believe me. I don't know why, but they did. Let's start a rumor. You, because you've been roasted, have to tell us something about the group or the family. Well, what do you remember? Well, too many.
All I can remember...
Yeah, that's the bad times, my gosh. Take all night.
All I can remember is the good times we all had together. And we were a good family that we get together a lot. And we enjoy one another gratefully.
That's right. What do you remember most about each of your sons?
Yeah, we're all a pain in the neck. Thanks, Dad. I want to thank Dad and Kathy for throwing this big party.
Thank you very much, Kathy.
And I want to thank everybody for coming.
Very good. To you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marion. Happy birthday to you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord bless you. And keep you always.
We got candles for later, but right now this is just a picture of the cake.
Bon voyage! Where are you going on your next trip? I see a big boat on that. What's the boat for?
Maybe your son got your phone right there.
One last story. One last story. One last story.
Oh, another story?
One last story.
Okay, let's listen.
And I'm sure there's other people in this room. Jerry Zablocki might remember this from Ed Zablocki. My dad at one time was very infatuated with the idea of having a boat, as Ed Zablocki did, and his children grew up owning boats in their lifetime. But they wanted to buy a big boat. And Jerry, you might remember this because I remember this as a child. And Uncle Ed, Dad's brother, and my dad said, we're going to buy this boat. And he took us down to look at it one Sunday afternoon, and it was a ship, a mammoth ship. 70 foot. And it ended up being that the discussion ended up on who would pilot it and where would they dock it. But it was a good deal. It was a good deal. They could have bought it for a song. It's almost like owning a go-kart when you're a child. Your parents blow up the bubble and take a pin out of their pocket and just pop that bubble. It's like we still, to this very day, have never bought a boat, have we?
No, sir.
Nor did we get a go-kart, did we?
No.
Any other children in the room have the same experience?
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marion. Happy birthday to you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord bless you and keep you always.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, Rick, help him.
Whitney! Hey, I'll hide my ball spots. Phil. Thank you.
Who's that from?
Sherry. Sherry Zablocki.
Oh, yeah,
Sherry Slosser. Sherry Slosser.
No, that's... Who's that from?
And Virginia.
Those are nice.
Real good.
Those are real nice. Yeah.
Well, Miss Anio Rosina, that's noting that it's your birthday. Leo Kaji, yeah, from Cheshire. I am. That's your dog. Oh, you guys keep right, I'll read it. Zetaya Okaji, ya from Senste, is wishing you last one said that's Zetinia. That's life. Zetinia is life.
Good luck.
Even Archie says Santa Special. Says Destiny is Robia in Pomerania. Good health and long life. Love, best wishes from Jerry, Kathy, Lynn, and Stephen.
And Ken.
I did say Kathy.
No, Ken.
On the car, I thought that was cool.
It is. Say that time.
Is it A, Uncle Mary?
Z. Kingsville. That's over on 19 in Garfield.
Hey, that's closer than ours.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, they're nice.
Nick, Jan, and Steve, and Mark. Huh? David, Mark, Nick, and Jan. And Susie.
That's me, Jan.
Thank you. I don't know.
Hey, Dad, that's We don't know who it's from. Someone dropped it off at the door from the 50 Plus Club. I think it was Helen Brooke. I don't know who it was. But she wouldn't come in. We asked her to come down.
Yeah. Who you for? Hey, my fun. Thank you.
Your side.
Yeah, extra large.
No, wait. Well, hold it up.
Oh, this way.
Oh, red, white.
I like it for a heavy man. They put the stripes around because it doesn't show the.
Like this. Frisbee.
I want to see you and Aunt Ruth play that game.